Yeah, hi everyone. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I have already started our VMs over here. The VMs have started. Let me check. Okay. So okay. So first thing after starting any server, you have to start the software. You have to start the database and the application server. Okay. So now you can see it is stopped now. So I will start it now. Okay. So here the database has started now. Now let me connect from application server. That's SID ADM user. First thing, try to check the connectivity of your database, whether your application server is able to connect to a database or not. Okay, so here you can see that my application server is able to connect to my database. Now you can start your application server. Start system. Okay, so my application has started. Let me try to connect to my application. Okay, I think one more question I put it off about how the connection is established between your application server and your database. Okay, so if you see over here, if you come down here in your application server, if you go in your application server, okay, and if you run the HDB user store, if you run this command HDB user store list, so you can see there is a key created by the name as default. Can you see this key?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the key which is created by default by SWPM. So using this key, the application server is able to connect to a database. This is your database host name. This is your database instance number 303. So the 03 of this port number is your instance number, and then the user which is tries to connect it is your SAP HANA DB to the database H4D. If you want, you can also use this key HDB SQL. You can use the HDB SQL minus U default. So you can also use this key to connect to your database. See, I've just used this key to connect to my database. It has directly connected to my database to my SID, tenant database. It has directly connected to my tenant database. From where I'm connecting from my application server, not from my database server, but from my application server. So this is how your application server is connecting to your database in the background using this key. If this key is deleted, your application server will not be able to connect to your database. Okay, and the other thing also that sometimes it happens that after a system restore, a backup restore, like for example, if you are doing a system refresh, that is you are restoring your production backup onto your quality server, quality database. So sometimes it happens that after restoring your backup, your application server is not able to connect to your database. Okay, the reason behind is that maybe your system user password for your quality server was different than your production server. The password for the system user of your production is different than the password of your quality server system user. So when you override the backup from the production onto the quality system, the system user's password gets changed. So using this key, it is not able to connect to the database. So at this time, you have to edit or update this key to use the correct or latest password, or you can go into your database and change the password of the production system's system user password to your previous quality database system user password. Yeah, am I clear on that?
But how to edit?
But here the user which is used for connection is HANA, SAP HANA DB, right?
Yes,
So
this
why?
is SAP HANA DB. The receipt, I told you that it creates a schema in the database. Okay, the schema name is this name, SAP HANA DB. So normally what happens with the same name, user is also created as the name of your schema. The name of your schema and the user who is the owner of that schema is same. So SAP HANA DB schema is created in your database. It also creates a user by the same name, which is the owner of your SAP HANA DB schema. So this user has only all the exclusive rights on your SAP HANA DB schema.
But for connection, like whether system user is being used or this user is being used, HANA
SAP,
DB.
no, see, you can see that it is clearly mentioned over here. It is using the SAP HANA DB. I think you didn't attended my previous batch about the HANA DBA. Okay, if you have attended that,
I went through recordings, but like faster
I
speed.
don't think I shared the DB connection recordings with you. If you have this, there is a topic in a sheet which is called as the DB connection. This is a DB connection. So here you can see that for the system DB, what are the types, how you can connect to your system DB through HDB SQL, then how to run the queries over here, how to create keys. See, from the HDB user store, you can create your key also to connect to your system DB, or you can create a key to connect to your tenant DB, then how to connect to them. These are the different topics over here. Okay, and also here is a topic over here for users also, users. So here I've shown you how to create a user, how to give them permissions and this everything over here. So this is a normal topic over here.
Okay, so to answer the question like how application is connected to database, so the answer is like from SDB store user list, there is a key
Okay.
and which is responsible for that, right?
Yes, actually it connects using SQL commands. It connects, but how it connects using see what is this key over here? See this key. See now the normal thing is that whenever you try to connect your database, it will ask you for a password.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot run any command query on the database without giving a password. So you cannot, every time you cannot give the password. So what it does, it creates a key. What is a key? Key is a connection string. Connection string means it contains to which database to connect, on which port to connect, from which user to connect, which database to connect, and the password for it. It is not shown over here. The password is not shown in this list, but along with the key, the password is also stored inside the key. So if you see here I run the HDB user with the key. Here I ran the command HDB SQL with the key, and without asking for any password, it allowed me access inside my database.
Okay.
So the reason is that because the password is already stored inside this key along with the key.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now let us resume from where we left last time. So last time we covered the architecture of your SAP application server. What are the different types of instances? What is an ASCS instance? What is an primary application server instance? What is an additional application server instance? What are the components of each of these instances? What services or components are there in ASCS instance, and what components and services are there in your uh, additional application. So let us just revise what we had done last time. So anybody can tell me like what are the components of an ASCS instance?
Message server and NQ server.
Okay, very good message. So, okay, now anyone else can tell me what are the components of a primary application server? Yes. Okay, so no one. Anyone else who knows the answer?
Yeah, ICM, web dispatcher, all the work
Mhm.
processes, and RFC gateway.
Okay, a web dispatcher and the work process, a different kind of work process. For example, your dialog, update, background, spool. These are the work process. Along with that, you have the ICM and your RFC gateway.
Yep.
Okay, web dispatcher is not a part of your primary application server instance.
A BAP dispatcher. A BAP.
Yes, web dispatcher and the other thing you have. Forgot the other component.
Okay, some gateway, I think.
No. Yes, I think RFC gateway. I think it is. Okay, web dispatch and RFC gateway. This is an optional component of your ASCS instance, central services instance, not of your primary application server instance. Okay, so this is that we covered last time, and then we covered what are the functions of each of these components, how are they used, and what are these, and then we started with the post installation steps of your application server. So we had done a fresh installation of S4HANA 2020 application server, and then after that we started with the configuration. Okay, in the configuration, what we did, the first thing we did was here, we created a user for our day-to-day administrative activities. Okay, so by default, the users which is created by, what are the default users which are created after the installation?
SAP Star and DDIC.
Yes, SAP Star and DDIC are the two users which are created by default. Actually, again, this is this is not a correct statement. SAP Star user and DDIC user are not created at the time of installation. They are already there inside the database. I told you, it is an extract, it is an export of the master server in SAP's laboratory. The master server where S4HANA 2020 was developed. It is an export. So when they took the export, the SAP Star user and the DDIC user was already there inside the export. the only thing which is done for this user during the time of installation is the setting of the password of this user. The SAP Star users and DDIC users password is set to the master password at the time of installation. The users are not created, the users are already there. Okay, so yes, so we had created a user for our day-to-day activities. After that, what we did, we locked the we restricted the users, we restricted the standard users. So these two are the standard users, SAP Star and DDIC. So what we did, we restricted them. How we restricted them? We locked the SAP Star user. Okay, but we didn't lock the DDIC user. What we did is that we changed the user type of DDIC so that nobody use DDIC user to log into the system. They can only use this DDIC user to run background job, schedule background job. Okay, we changed the user type of DDIC user to system. Okay, so this was done. Second thing what we done was that we executed the load generation. We executed a load generation. We did it for the SAP_basis component because there were total 148 components. Okay, so we cannot run, so it's not like that we cannot run. We can run SDN for all the 148 components, but normally it takes a long time. It might take one day also. So that is the reason I only selected one brief component, that is the SAP_basis, which contains all the commands that we will be using, all the basis T code that we'll be using. So it's a good idea to have all the basis related programs and reports to be compiled beforehand. So that is, we selected SAP_basis. Even after selecting SAP_basis, it contains around 96,000 objects or something, which was compiled when we did the load generation. So this was completed successfully, but I don't think I took a backup after that. I'm not sure about that. Let me check whether I took a backup. I think I must have taken a backup. Okay, so since the SGen activity is a major, you can say it's a big activity because it does a major changes in your database. So it's a very good idea to take a backup after this activity, so that in case if in some later activity, if you make any changes or if you make any mistake, okay, so if the matter comes to restoring your database, that you don't have to restore the database backup which was taken immediately after the restoration. Otherwise, again, you'll have to run the SGen activity. So after SGen activity, it is a good idea to take a backup immediately, so that next time you want to restore, you can restore the backup which was taken after the SGen activity. Okay, so this is my systemdb backup. Here is my backup catalog for my system H4D. So here you can see there are two backups for it. No, but these are not two backups. This is the backup which came from the export, and this is the only backup which I took after the installation. So actually I forgot to take a backup after running the SGen. Okay, so let me take the backup now. So but I will not take a full backup, because a full backup will take some time, maybe around 7 to 8 minutes or 10 minutes for a full backup. So I will not take a full backup. I will just take an incremental backup. So this is the command over here for incremental backup. HDB SQL -u backup. This is the key. Again, this is the key which you need to take the backup, and this is the command for firing the backup over here. So, but before that, you have to make sure whether you have the key or not. So let me see whether I have the key or not. I'm checking for the key in my database system, not application system. So HDB user store list. Okay, so there is no backup key over here. The backup key was not created. So let me check. I think it is there in the installation sheet. If you go in the last part, you can see over here. You have to log in. You can create a key for backup. From here, I can create a key for backup. Okay, this is the command to create a key for backup. Okay, so I have already run HDB user store list. With this command, I'm going to create the key for backup. Okay, so what it says, operation succeeded. The backup key was created successfully. If you want to check, you can run HDB user store list. So now you can see, along with the previous key, I can also see my backup key over here, which I have just created. And if before, it's a good idea to cross check whether this key is running or not, just to avoid any surprises in the later part. So how will I test this key? I am running HDB SQL minus U the key, and I'm running select count star from dummy. I'm just running a statement SQL query to verify whether my key is working or not. If the query runs successfully, if it gives some output, it means my key is running properly. So I'm running the command over here, and you can see the output over here. Count is equal to 1. Okay, so it means my key is running properly. So I've created a key and the key is working properly. Now I can go and I can run a incremental backup on my database. So here is the command for taking the incremental backup. Okay, let me check. It is going in the backup only /backup location. So this is the backup which I had taken after the installation of my application server. Now let me run the incremental backup to take a fresh backup. Okay, here I am taking an incremental backup. If you want, can you see over here? The backup has completed successfully. How much time did it took over here? 2696 millisecond. Okay, how much second is this into?
2 seconds, 2.6 seconds.
2.69 seconds. This is because one second is equal to 1000 millisecond. So it took only around 3 seconds, just around 3 seconds to take the incremental backup. Let me confirm from here, from my system. Just if you just refresh this screen, so you cannot see the backup over here. Okay, you can only see these two backup. Why? Because see here, if you see that there are two check boxes: show log backup, show delta backup. So what I have taken just now is a delta backup. It is not a full backup, it is a delta backup. Delta backup means in HANA there are two types of backup. One is your full backup, second your delta backup. Delta backup consists of your incremental and differential backup. Okay, so let me click on your show delta backup. When I click on show delta backup, you can see it over here. You can see for today's date, June 18, 2022, 8:11. So this is the current time, 8 hours 11 minutes. I can see the backup it went for. In the background is showing us 51 seconds, and the size of the backup was 7.64 GB, and it's a type of incremental backup. Okay, I hope everyone is aware of the concept of incremental and differential backup.
Incremental
Yeah,
is the backup from last backup, like,
Mhm.
but I understand like even differential backup is the same.
Okay, anyone else?
Increment. What is incremental backup?
What is the difference between incremental and differential backup? Okay, so let's not waste the time. Let me just show you what are the difference. Okay, so this is the screen for your incremental and differential backup. Okay, so now when you come to a backup cycle, so now we are taking an example. We are taking an example of a week. Okay, I'm taking an example of 1 week. So for example, if we have a backup cycle of week, that is sorry, that is your weekly backup cycle. Okay, so in case first example that we are going to take is your full backup. So for example, if the database size, if the backup size of my database of my DB is say suppose say 800 GB, the backup size of my database is 800 GB. So what I have done, I have configured daily full backup. So every day it is taking a full backup. Every day it is taking a full backup. Every day it is taking the backups. Every day the backup size is 800 GB. Why? Because I have configured a full backup for every day. Now second option that you have is your incremental backup. What happens in incremental backup? Okay, for example, from day one, if you configure incremental, the first backup will always be a full backup. Okay, even if you configure an incremental backup, the first backup will always be an incremental backup. Why? Because see, you don't have any previous backup. If you don't have any previous backup, so you cannot take an incremental backup. So the first backup will always be a full backup. So the on the first day, for example, Sunday, mostly Sunday is a non-peak day. So most of the backups are configured on say Sunday. So Sunday you have configured an incremental backup. The first backup was for full backup of 800 GB. In the second day on Monday, the changes in your database was say for example 20 GB. The changes made in your database was say 20 GB. So on the next day on Monday, when the incremental backup again runs, it will not take the full backup. It will take the difference. It will take the backup which was it will only backup the changes which was done since the last backup. Okay, so only 20 GB was changed. So on Monday, it will only back up the 20 GB. Now coming to Tuesday. So between Monday and Tuesday, only 15 GB of data was changed. So incremental backup will only take the backup of those changed 15 GB. The backup cycle goes on. Again on Wednesday, there is a change of 10 GB. The incremental backup will only take a backup of 10 GB. So goes on like this. Is it clear till now? What is this incremental backup?
Yes.
It is only backing up changes which was done since the last backup. The last backup can be a full backup or an incremental backup also. Not incremental. The last backup can either be a full backup or any delta backup. Even if you have taken a differential backup on Monday, on a Tuesday, if you run different incremental backup, it will back up all the changes which was done since the last backup on Monday. So now coming to your so now your cycle is finished. We have a weekly cycle. So on the first day of the week, you have scheduled a full backup. Every day it's an incremental backup. On again the 7th day, the cycle is completed. On the 8th day, it again jumps to the first day, Sunday. Again there is a full backup. Again there is a full backup, and again so on. Every day it takes the backup of the change data. I hope it is clear to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so very good. So now let us move forward to differential backup. Now what is the differential backup? Again the same example. The first backup will always be a full backup. Okay, so on the first Sunday when you schedule a differential backup, it will be a full backup. On Monday, what it does, Monday again same. The data which was changed in the last backup is of 20 GB. So it will only back up those 20 GB. But what happens on Tuesday? On Tuesday, there is a change of 35 GB. That is since your last full backup. Differential backup. For a differential backup, the reference backup is always should be a full backup. For differential backup, the last backup or the reference backup should always be a full backup. It will not refer to any incremental or differential backup. So whenever was the last full backup, it will back up all the changes since the last full backup. So on Tuesday, it will see that the last full backup was on Sunday. So whatever changes was done from Sunday to Tuesday, it will back up those changes. Again on Wednesday, it will back up all the changes made since Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Every day it will take all the changes which was done since the last full backup. On the 7th day, the cycle completes. Again on the 8th day, it will jump back to the first it will start a new cycle, and again the first day it will take a full backup. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are taking a backup. Now we already have taken a backup of our system, incremental backup. So let me again mark it as done. We have taken a backup after our load generation activity. So now in case if I make if I done any mistake now, I can always restore my backup from my incremental backup. Okay, so now we will start with the transport management system. Okay,
I have a question here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, whenever we take first backup after installation, we need to create a key, a backup key, right?
See, it is not compulsory. It is up to you.
Mhm.
If you don't
Okay,
create a
okay.
key, then you'll have to put the whole information. For example, here, if you see in this command, it is not compulsory, or you see after you can also take a backup from your HANA Studio also.
Okay, got it.
Then
So
you can
that was
take.
my question because I could see a backup history in your HANA studio. So I was I'm going to ask, like, without backup key, how did you like backup these
No,
two
you can
instances?
always take a backup from here also. You can just click over here. Sorry.
Yeah,
You
okay.
can take a full backup also from your HANA Studio. You can take an incremental fractional backup also from your HANA Studio. Okay, but actually, when the time of showing the explanation, it's very easy to do a copy paste. So it's and also for your reference. See, because I cannot share each and every screenshots with you. Do this, do this, do. Though I'm sharing the meeting recording, and you won't believe it's my personal experience. Most, I think only 10% of the students might be going through the meeting recording. Nobody again sees the whole recording afterwards. So it is only the only reference point for them is the Excel sheet. Just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and they will just move forward. So this is very easy for us to make and checklist something like of this and to flow everything. So it is very easy to just copy from here and paste it. So that is over that. Okay, so now coming to the point of transport management system, it is one of the most important, you can say, topic of your SAP system. One minute, it's it's not responding. Let me close it and open it again. Okay, so here is it. Let us start with the topic transport management system. Okay, I think most of the students which are attending right now, they have already worked on SAP basis to some extent. I think, is it clear? I think most of the students, except a couple of them, maybe I think everybody is like have worked on SAP basis. So anybody can tell me any brief idea about like what is your understanding about TMS, transport management system?
It is the route between development, quality, and production systems. Like we are any changes done in the development, we can do the move those changes into the quality and production to this TMS.
Very good. Yes. So it's very, you explain very it was a very precise and concise explanation. Very good. So let me again give you a detail about that. Now what is the landscape? What is the three system landscape? Okay, what is the development, quality, production? So before explaining you how TMS works, before going into the technical part, I will try to explain you what is the requirement. Why do you require a three system landscape? What is the need for that? Okay, so because our technical understanding will come to you easily if you understand the requirement for it, the basic requirement. Why is it required? If you understand that thing, then how it is done, that will be very simple. So the first thing is that what is the development system, what is the quality, and what is the production system, and what exactly is their necessity. So the thing over here is that, see, you run an ERP system in an you can say in a enterprise environment. Big companies only can afford SAP. Okay, small companies, they don't go with it because it's a very costlier to set up your SAP landscape system, everything. So it means you very you can say enterprise companies having crores of rupees in turnover, yearly turnover, they can only afford SAP. Now when you talk about this company, so now normally what happens, even though SAP has developed a very good product which contains all the business logics, all the business processes, which includes everything in it, even though after that when it is put into any enterprise, you will find that most of the enterprise will find that okay, it is not as per our working, we need some more changes into it, we need some more changes into modification. For example, SAP has provided a report for sales report, okay, which gives you some output in a sales report. For example, it gives you output in 4 column, When you run this report, it will give you, it will do all the calculation on your tables, on your database. It will give you an output on say 4 columns. But in some in one organization, for example, one company, and ABC company, they will say, okay, these 4 columns are not enough for us. We need at least 1 or 2 more columns into it. Some other company will say we need at least 2-3 more columns into it. One column, for example, for profit, one column for this and that. Anyhow, based on their setup, this is just for an example. So they want a modification into the standard report, which is developed and provided by SAP in your ERP system. So how do you do that? So normally, see, if you have only one system, okay, the system in which all the users are working at the same time, you cannot go and make the changes into that system. You cannot go directly into the production system and you can make the changes in the report. What happens if the report is not properly, the coding is not done properly, the changes are not proper, your production system will start giving errors. Okay, for example, this is just a report. This is just a report. So in this case, only when the user runs the report, he will not get the accurate data. That is not that riskier or not that harmful. But what happens if you are modifying a program? If there is a program which makes some changes into your tables, into your database, which updates some fields into your database. Now the coding or the program was not written properly, it was not debugged properly, and if you run that program in your production system, all the affected table, all the tables will get updated because of this program. What happens if this program is putting a faulty, if the calculation done by this program is faulty, it will be updating all the records in your tables with that faulty data. Okay, for example, a very simple example, for example, in a banking environment. Okay, so the banking environment, it is like this. For example, if you open a savings account in a bank, the yearly interest rate which is paid on your deposit in this bank is, for say example, 4%. Is say 4%. Now suppose in the year 2020 to 23, the bank has come with a new policy saying that, okay, now we have increased the interest rate. We have increased the interest rate of our bank on the saving deposits from 4% to 5%. This is their changes. Okay, they have changed the interest rate from 4% to 5%. So now this change has to be updated in the system, so that from this 20 to 20 year, all the deposits in the account will be calculated as per 5%, not the previous 4%. So now, for example, the programmer, for example, he's working since a long time. He has been working since 12 hours, 16 hours. He's not in a good state of mind. So instead of typing 5%, by mistake, he types 15%, or maybe 50%. So what happens when that interest rate is calculated? Instead of calculating at 5%, it will be calculating at 15% or 50%. That is a huge mistake. It cannot be done on the live system. Okay, because you cannot go to each customer apologizing and giving the explanations, because it was because of a developer's mistake that the interest rate was calculated at 50%. You are not eligible to 50%. You cannot ask the customer to return the excessive interest rate that has been paid to him. So to avoid all this kind of errors, what you do, you prepare a 3-system landscape. What is a 3-system landscape? You have 3 system: development system, quality system, production system. So now what happens? You install a development system. All the changes, all the configuration is done in the development system. So it is not like that when you do an fresh installation of a application server, everything is ready to use. No, there's a lot many things of configuration that was done in advance. Okay, for example, the SAP system was programmed or was developed for worldwide customers. Okay, it was developed for worldwide customers. So different countries have different, for example, say different kind of tax slabs. Okay, maybe on personal, maybe on your income tax, maybe your sales tax, maybe some other tax. Every country has a different kind of this. So SAP doesn't give you the SAP doesn't put any default interest slabs on their default installation. So after you do the installation, it has to be done by the consultant, the functional consultant. They configure the system to be used as per their environment, as per their location. Okay, for example, if the system is to be used in the Middle East, okay, so in Middle East there is no interest rate, At least till some time back there was no interest rate, but now they have come up with like 5% VAT, 5% of VAT, and still the income tax, there is zero income tax on the your earnings if you do it in your Middle East. In other cases, for example, if you go on US there is a flat rate of 40%. You have to pay a 40% flat rate. In India there are different slabs over here, up till 2,50,000 it is you can say interest free, tax free, and then so on. So based on your location environment, you have to do a number of changes in your system. Okay, so all this configuration has to be done. So this cannot be done directly in the production. They do it in the development system. They make the changes, they do the configuration, then they test it. The developers test all this customization in the development system. When everything is tested in development, then they release it from the development. It goes into the quality system. In the quality system, they again import the changes and they test it as per your test data. Okay, your development system doesn't have a large amount of test data, actual scenario. It only contains some minimum test data which is input by the developers. But in quality system, which is, you can say it's a replica of your production system, it will have your production data. So it's a very good environment to test your programs and reports on the quality system to check whether it is giving you expected results or not. Okay, just to avoid any kind of surprise and shock in your production system, you tested your quality system, everything's okay. You can also even ask your end users, or if not your end user, then you can ask your, for example, say supervisors of the company, power users, HODs, and then managers to test this new program which has been the updated or modified program in the quality system and give their feedback or give their confirmation whether everything is okay or not. Okay, so when the supervisor or HODs, when they test the program, they confirm, okay, everything is running properly. You have changed the interest rate from 4% to 5%. Now when we tested in the system, it is working, it is calculating as per 5%. So they will give the confirmation. Once they give the confirmation, then only that changes will be moved to the production system and imported in the changes will be imported in the production system. So is it clear till now? Salesh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I've just rejoined.
Okay, sorry. So okay, it was from your end. Okay.
Yeah, my end. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so is it clear till now? Are you have you understand the reason, the requirement for this three system landscape? Okay, and you can, in case if you cannot afford a three system landscape, you can also go for a two system landscape. You can have you can directly have a development system and your production system. Okay, but again that will be a little riskier, or you can say it's not that recommended, or not that SAP's best practice, not recommended from SAP. So normally for your ERP environment, it is always recommended to have a three system landscape. Okay, for your ERP environment, that is, for example, for your SAP ECC or SAP S4 HANA, these two environment you should always go with a three system landscape. In case of other examples, like say for example your BW environment, BW landscape, in BW landscape you can have like a development and a directly a production system. You don't need a quality in that, because BW system is limited users will be connected to it, and it's not that to have a three system landscape. Normally also in your other environment, for example, if you have a Fiori front end server landscape, if you have a CRM landscape, SRM landscape, SCM landscape, okay, or EP landscape, enterprise portal, this kind of landscape, if you have, you can have, instead of having a three system landscape, you can go for a two system landscape. I hope I'm clear till now.
Yes.
Okay, so now coming again to the screen over here. So now this is your first is your development system, the second is your quality, third is your production. The truck icon, it's a very, you can say it's an very famous truck icon of SAP. So if you're moving anything from one system to another, you click on this truck icon to import that changes into your system. So it is showing over here from your development system, you have this truck icon which is moving the changes to your quality. From your quality, it is moving the changes to your production. If you come down, you can see the development environment over here. So it contains different types of clients. 1 minute. I think we didn't discuss this option over here. Okay, so before understanding that, let me explain you what is a client. What is a client in SAP? So normally what happens, there are two, when you create an SAP, when you install an SAP system, by default client 000 comes with it. What is the client 000? So a client is a kind of, you can say it's a kind of a business entity, or you can say it's a company. Okay, so you can create multiple clients. You can create multiple clients in your SAP system. Okay, now what is the difference between multiple clients? What are the difference? So as it explained, you can see in the screen over here. So there are two clients in the system, client 007 and client 008. Now when you see this example over here, the blue part, the blue color part which is mentioned over here, these types of data, data which is given in the blue boxes or blue diagram, these are client specific data. When you say client specific, it means when the changes is done in one client, it will not be reflected in the other client, because these changes are client specific. These are called as client specific customizing or changes. So how many types of customer changes are there? There are three types of. One is your client dependent customizing. Okay, client dependent customizing, example company codes, plants, warehouses, and so on. So these are the different type of client specific customizing. Also in case of your tax structure, this also is a client specific customizing. For example, there is a company called as Tata. So the Tata has a company, they have their ERP system. So now this Tata company, they might have different business active entities in different countries. Okay, one in India, one in, you can say, UK, one in US or somewhere this like this. So they have different entities. Now if they try to configure all this entity into one client, then how can they configure multiple tax structure, tax slab on it? Okay, for example, if this user is there, how will they identify whether this user is related to this country or that? So what they can do, they can create different client. So client, for example, client 100 will be for India, client 150 will be for US, client 200 will be for UK. So based on this geographical, based on the country's structure, they will configure the client as per their country's policies. Okay, for example, India has a tax structure of 35% for enterprises, so the client 100 will be configured as per that tax structure. Again, going to for example, in UK, it has a tax structure of 40%, it will configure 40%. US has some other policy, it will configure as per that policy. So you have different clients which will have different configurations based on their requirement. So you have the client dependent customizing. Second, you have your application data. What is an application data? See, when a user connects to a system and he creates some documents, creates some changes into the system, that is called as application data. Okay, for example, user you have a big example of a mega mall departmental store. So now that you the sales counters of this departmental store, so these sales counter, they connect to the system, and at the time of when every customer which comes to the sales counter, they create a sales order for every sales. Okay, that is a sales order. So this sales order which is created in the system is a type of application data. Again, if some users create a purchase order, that is an application data, and many different things. If you create an employee record in the system, then that is an application data. Employee record, employee information, different things. That is an application data. Then you have users, the users which can access the client. The users which can access the client, those are also client specific. For example, if you have two clients, client 100 and client 200, so in both the clients you will have SAP star and DDIC, but the password of this user may not be the same as in 100. The password for the SAP star user in 100 may not be the same as for the password of the user in SAP, client 200, because why? They both have a different master they do user master record. They both have a different user master record. Okay, so when you create a user SAP, you can say ABC user in client 100, it is only created in client 100. You cannot use those credentials to log into client 200. So these are the three types of data which is client dependent. Client dependent customizing, application data, and user. These are the three types of data which are client dependent. Again, when you see the green structure, you all the things which are mentioned in the green structure, they are client independent. When you say client independent, it means if you create anything of this type of data in one client, it will be immediately reflected in the other client. Okay, if you create a program in client 100, you can run the same program from client 200 immediately. Is it clear with everyone?
Why is that user management common in both?
Where is the user management common? It's common.
Yeah,
User master is talking about it. It's common because that is client dependent.
Then
It's
it
a
is not
criteria.
common. Where is it common? See, I am where is it common? It is not common.
No, he's saying user master.
So it is not. He's saying that why is it common? So it is not common. See, if you see over here, this is the user master record. This is the user master for client 007, and this is the user master for client 800 008. So where is it common?
no, in your client independent customizing, you mentioned user management. How is user management client independent? It's
Where
independent.
is it user management client independent? I don't get it.
No, the client independent customizing in the green color tab.
Yes. Okay. This one. What is it? Can you come again? What is the question?
So you mentioned user management there, right?
No, I didn't mention user management. I said that whatever changes, whatever objects as per this, see, these are the objects: table structures, programs, reports, transactions. These are the objects which are client independent. Function modules and so on. These are all client independent objects. If you create these objects in one client, it will be immediately reflected in the other client.
Yeah.
Not the user management, not the user master record. Those are not common. A user, these three types of data are client dependent. If you make it in one client, it will be only available in that client.
Yeah. Okay.
So green part is actually global environment.
Green part is the common part.
Global environment.
Yes, this is a global environment. This is a common part. Okay, the correct term for saying it is your client independent. This is the correct term for using it. Client independent means it is not dependent on client. You can access. Yes, Sadhna.
Sorry, I interrupted. So even the Z programs, Z transactions also a client independent.
Yes, come again. What you said?
Even the Z programs like which or Z transactions, they are client independent.
Yes, all the programs, everything related to ABAP programming is client independent. Okay. Sorry, I think someone asked about the user management. Who was that?
Yeah, me.
Sorry, who was that? Can you introduce yourself? Sorry, I can't recognize from your voice. Sailesh. Sorry, I missed this part. I think you must have asked about this user management, which I highlighted now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
See, if you see the arrow marking over here, what it says? Packages, grouping in packages. So the packages which is created for managing the users, that is common.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
it is not that the user management is common.
Okay, I get it now. Yeah, that's what I'm asking earlier. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't notice that one. I just noticed it afterward. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so I hope everybody was clear with this screen. Yes, everyone, are you clear with this screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because see, understanding these basics are very important. Because I've been seeing I have 5 groups under me for basis for SAP basis. The questions which come from the students, sometimes I wonder that what are they doing in the basis field, the type of questions they ask, because see, it's so stupid and all, because if they may run anything any mistake they do, and they will just mess up the system. The type of questions they ask, they don't even know how to run the common commands and everything and all. So if you have a clear understanding of this all basic concept, it will be very good for you in your long run. Okay. Okay, so now I think we'll take a break of 15 minutes and we'll continue after that. Is it okay with everyone?
Okay, no
Yes.
problem.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So see
Thank
you
you.
after 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can we start now?
Hi, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes, everyone else.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay, so everybody clear with this screen now? What is a client? What are clients, and like what is the difference between different clients? What is client dependent customizing? What is client independent customizing? I hope everybody is clear with this. Yes, everyone. Can we move forward?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let us come back to the same screen which we saw over here. Let me bring this. I think it is better explained over here. TMS configuration, users and authorization. Okay, so now coming back to this screen. So here you can see over here, there are different clients in different system. Okay, in your dev system, you can see 3 clients over here. One is your sand. Actually, this is a sandbox system. By sand, it means sandbox system. As the name suggests, this system is used for making all the temporary changes, what testing different types of settings or different types of configuration in your development system. Then you have the cust is your customizing client. Customizing client means whatever changes you make has to make in this client. This is the actually, it is also, you can also call it as a golden client. What you mean the golden client means whatever changes you want to move from your development to your quality system, all that changes will be made in your golden client. Okay, and then after making the changes in the golden client, it will be moved to your or transported to your next system. So this is your customizing client. This is also called as your customizing client. This is your customizing client, sandbox and customizing client. And the third one is, as the name suggests, this is your test client. So these are the 3 types of standard or common clients that you will find in the development environment. Okay, but it is not that hard code that you will have only these 3 clients in the development. It depends on your functional team. It depends on the functional requirement. The function, as for your functional team, they might have only 2 clients also. Maybe for example, a test client and customizing client. They might have more than 2 or 3 clients also, depending on different as per your functional team, as for the functional consultants. Okay, so these are the different clients which are available in your. So basically what happens, whatever changes you want to move to the second system, okay, that is a quality system, those changes will be made in the customizing client. Okay, after making the changes in the customizing client, they can import that changes in the sandbox client to do some further testing. Okay, testing any kind of like this. So that is your different clients in your development system. In your quality, the main client will be your QT, their quality client, quality QAS, quality assurance system client. Okay, this is the main client where all the changes from your development will be imported into the quality system, and after testing in your quality client, it will be moved to your production system. So your quality client may have more than one client, that is your quality one for your quality testing, another for your training purpose. For example, if it's a big company, there are thousands of employees working in the company. So every day, every week, every month, they might be having new employees recruited for India, like for the new requirement. For example, for expansion, if it's for example it's a department store, chain store, so might be if they are rolling out some new store in some new location, so they will need extra sales force for that new location. Or if for example some people are leaving, some are joining, new users, so there will be a cycle for this new users. So the main thing is that for the new employees, they might have to give some training. The new employees might be joining different kind of department, HR department, finance department, and this WM department, PP department, SD department. So they need trainings. So their department heads will arrange trainings for them. So from where will they get the systems? On the quality system, they will be getting the training. Okay, for example, for the SD team, they will be they will be checking how to create a sales order, how to check the system, how to run this report. For the finance team, they will check how to create ledgers, how to create a balance statement, balance sheet, and many different things over there. Example. So this training will be done on the training client, because if you're doing any testing, if some the changes is imported into the quality client, and if something stops working or it started giving error, then you don't want to disturb your training users. Okay, if you directly import in the if you have a combined same client, you are using the same client for quality testing also and for training also. If you make and if you import any program, or if you import any report in your quality client, and if it starts giving some kind of error, then again the training users, the users which are getting training on the system, will get impacted. So it's better to use a different client for both of this type. So you can easily do your testing on one client, and the users will continue doing their training on the other client. In the production, normally basically it's a, will find only one client in the production. That is the best practice, and that is the industry standard, to have one client on the system, on the production system. Some companies might have more than one client also. They might have a pre-production, a client called as pre-production client also in their production system, but that is not a good practice. So everyone clear with this?
Yes.
Okay, so I hope there is no doubt here in this about one more thing. Okay, one more thing was that, okay, now coming to the next screen, let me check. Okay, I think I need to take this before over here. That would be better. Okay, I think we'll take that topic later when the screen comes. Okay, this screen is clear. Let me move back to the second screen. Now, what happens? How do you configure a TMS in your system? How do you configure a TMS in your system, and how basically, how practically it works? What happens practically, technically in the system in a TMS configuration? So what happens? What you do normally? What happens when you create a normally what happens? When you create when you make any changes in the system, okay, for example, if you do any change in the system will prompt you to make a TR, that is a transport request. If you make any changes in the system which is defined as customizing, you will get a prompt to create a TR for that. So you can create a TR for that. After creating a TR, what you can do is that you can import that TR into the next system, that is your quality system. And after your quality, when you have it tested in the quality, then you can move the same TR to your production system if it is approved. Normally what happens, for example, you created one TR, you create one changes in the development, it is moved to the quality system, but it is not approved. Again you will make some changes in the development, again you will move the TR to the quality, and again you test it. Again you find that is one more correction remaining. You will create a third TR, you will make a third changes in the development system. It will create a transport request number 3. That transport request you will import into quality, and you will get an approval. So okay, the third transport for these changes is correct. So in the production, not all the 3 transport will be imported in the production, only the correct one, only the one which is approved, that transport will be imported into your production system. So now what happens when you create a TR? When you create a TR, basically what happens, when you create a TR, it will create a transport request, and when you export that TR, sorry, not export, when you release that TR, when you release the TR, what it happens from the development system, from the source system, it will create two files on a shared directory. It will create two files. That process is called as export. So it will export, it will create two files. One is the core file and the other is the data file. It will create two files into your transport directory. And in your next system, when you're going to import that changes in your next quality system, it will read from that common directory, common transport directory, and it will import. It will check this two file, core file and data file. Everything's okay. It will import that changes into the system. Is it clear? Any
Yes.
doubt?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Clear to everyone?
Yeah, Musabar, Ram here.
Yes, Ram.
Yeah, could you please tell me what the data file and code will consist? What
Okay.
it will contain?
What it will contain?
Yes.
Okay. So I think
Why we need two file? Why we need data file and code file?
okay, I think it's better whenever after configuration of our TMS system, when we have the system ready, then I will show you practically what it happens over here. So I think
Okay.
we'll leave this. We'll take the slides after we do the practical part. Let us just go to the system and take the practical part.
Okay. Okay.
Why did it get restarted? Okay, so only the Bayesian host got restarted. That's good. So we won't have to restart the application and everything again. Okay, so our database and application is running. Let me connect. We had also our HANA Studio opened. Okay, so now let me open my SAP system, log into my SAP system. Okay, so now I've logged into my SAP system. Let me open my Excel sheet. Okay, so we are going to take the topic of your transport management TMS configuration, how to configure TMS into the system. Before I can configure TMS, the first thing is that you need to create a company, because without that, if you go to your system and configure TMS, it will give you a company error. So how can you create a company? You have to go into the T code SUComp. Go into the T code SUComp. I run this T code SUComp. Here I can create a company. If you want to see how many companies are there, you can click on F4 and enter. F4. Okay, you can only see one company over here. There's a default company. So we'll create our company right now. Okay, so how you enter the name of your company in the field. Enter the name of your company in the field and click on the create icon. Okay, so this is the screen for creating a company. Okay, title, mention what is the title of it. So it will be a company name, the name of your company. So you can mention the name of your company here. Then the country of your company. So here I'm putting as a country. So basically, if you see, there are many fields in this screen, but out of all the screen, you don't have to fill up each and every field. If you see, you can see a tick mark in this field. If you see, there is a tick mark in this two field. The tick mark means these are compulsory fields, mandatory. You cannot leave it blank. So that is the reason I'm filling up this field. So for country, I will mention IN, a short form for India. Okay, so IN stands for India. So I for country I'm mentioning India. Time zone. In the time zone I am mentioning also India. Okay, so let me, if you can click on this icon, it will show you all the possibilities over there. You can select your company from there, or you can directly enter India and you can save it. So GHI, here I can see India. So I've selected India. I have made all the necessary changes in the screen. Now I will save it. Address handle invalid Solutrix. Why is the address handle invalid? Okay, so let me run this Solutrix, create company, title company, name Solutrix, country India, India. Save. Okay, so it is saved now. I have created a company. The company creation part is done. Now let us move with the TMS configuration. So what do you do in a TMS configuration? So here you have three systems. In case if you're configuring a three system landscape, so the first system you have is your, this is my development system. Okay, this is the S4D development system. So this part is for the development system. Okay, no, sorry, this whole part is for the development system, and this part is for the next system, quality and production system. Okay, so right now we don't have a quality and production system, so I marked it as not applicable. Okay, now doing with over here. So now first thing is that the you need, what you need to do is say you need to configure a transport domain on your development system. You need to configure a domain controller system. So what you will do, you will run the T code STMS. I'm running the T code STMS over here. STMS. As soon as you run STMS, it will show you this option to configure TMS. This is for configure transport domain. If you see the heading, it says configure transport domain. So you can check what changes. So system is the SID of the system. So here SID is already given. Description you can mention. So here in the description it is showing as system S4D. If you don't want this description, you can give your own description. So here instead of system S4D, you are putting a system called a development system. I am making a system. I am giving the name as a development system. So here the description for S4D is development system. Okay, and now click on save. As soon as you click on save, you can see password, the password for it. You can enter the master password, or you can give the password of your choice over here, and then click on OK. Okay, after it finishes this step, you can see it says over here you are logged onto the domain controller. Okay, what is the domain controller? Domain controller is that system which contains, or which has all the configuration about the TMS, about the transport management system, all the configuration, which system has which configuration, which is this system, and everything, all the detail is managed by the domain controller. So normally, since it's up to you, you can make any system in your landscape as a domain controller, but the recommended thing is that you make that system a domain controller which will be always up. Okay, the critical system, the most critical system in your landscape, you make it as a domain controller. Normally the best practice as per SAP, it is to make your production system as a domain controller. Okay, because production system is the most critical and it will be up 24/7. Okay, so they recommend to make your production system as your domain controller. But the problem right now is that see, I am just started with my implementation. I have installed a development system. Now maybe by installing my quality system, then my production system, it will take some time for installing the production system. I might be after 1 month, I might be installing the quality system, and after installing the quality system, after 1 or 2 months of the quality installation, I might be doing the production installation. So it might take a long time for my production. So I cannot hold this TMS configuration till my production system is installed. So directly the first system which I'm installing, I'm making it as a domain controller. So you are logged onto the domain controller. So I have So I have configured a transport domain. So this part I have configured a transport domain. Clear till this part? Yeah, yes, everyone. Clear till this part?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
now I have created my transport domain, or simple, I've created a domain controller. Now what happens? Now what I'm going to do? See, normally what happens in your real-time scenario, you will configure a domain controller, then you will do what you will do, you will go into the quality system. There also you will run the same HTML code, and you will configure a TMS on it, and then you will add that system, the quality system, into your development system. Same you will do on the production also. We'll go into production system, run TMS, and you will add that system into the transport domain, and then you will approve the system for your development system. So this is the part that you will be doing in your live environment. What you're going to do, you will include the system in transport domain. Okay, so you will go into, for example, you go into the quality system, next system, you will run STMS over there. It will again ask you for the same screen which it asks it over here. It will give you the same screen. The only changes, you don't have to just click on save. You have to give the path, or you have to give the host name of your development system or the domain controller system. You have to give the host name and the instance number of your domain controller, and then you have to save it. So this is how you will do in your actual environment. So first you will install a domain, the quality development system. Okay, you make it a domain controller, then you go into your quality system, run STMS, and give the path of your quality, give the path of your domain controller and the instance number, save it, and then come back to the domain controller and approve or activate the quality system. Again, for your production system, log in into your production system, run HTMS. You configure the transport domain, give the path of your domain controller and the instance number. Okay, save it, and again come back to the domain controller and approve the production system. That is the step over there. Okay, so this is how you can log into the system and configure the transport, include the system in the transport domain, and this is how you can approve the system from your domain controller, the one which you have included in the transport domain. So these are the two steps for it. So since we don't have a multiple system in the environment, what we are going to do, we are going, instead of creating an actual system, we are going to create a virtual system. What is a virtual system? Now, sometimes what happens, all the three systems are not installed at the same time. The development system will be the first system that will install, give it to the functional consultant. They will start doing the configuration on the development system. Maybe after some time, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, or maybe 2 months after, you will create the quality system. And after installing the quality system, the functional consultant will move their changes, customizing into the quality system, do their testing. And maybe after 1 or 2 months after installing the quality system, you will install the production system. All this system will not be installed at the same time. So what you can do, you can add all this system, the quality and the production system, you can add them in advance in your development TMS system. You can do all the configuration at that time only. So the next time only, when you install the development system, your quality system, you just have to run STMS on it, save it, and you have to approve the system for you. You don't have to make any changes in the configuration. Is that part clear?
Yes.
Okay, so now we are creating a virtual system. How will you create a virtual system? System overview, SAP systems, menu, create virtual system. So here I'm coming over here. Here I have to go into, here you have to run this. Systems overview. Click on systems overview. Then SAP system, create virtual system. Create a virtual. Here it is asking for the system. Which system you are creating? I'm creating the quality system, S4Q. Description, what description I'm giving? Quality system. So here I'm giving the quality system. Okay, so now you can see two systems over here. In my systems overview, I can see two systems. One is my development system, other is my quality system. Okay, but if you see over here the type, so in your type you can see this is actual system. If you see the second quality system, it is showing as a virtual system. So quality system is not an actual system, it is just a virtual system. Again, I'm clicking on system, create virtual. But now I'll be creating my production system, production virtual system. S4P description production system. I'm giving the production system, saving it. So now I can see all my three systems in my landscape over here. But currently the production and the quality systems are not actual systems. Okay. So the reason I'm doing it, because now I have to configure my transport, and to configure the transport, I need some system. I need more than one system in the transport system overview. Then only, see, if you don't have the very critical and important point over here, just pay attention. See, if you only create a one system, if you only add your development system, if you only add your development system and save it, okay, and after that, when you try to create a TR, your TR will be created. Your TR will be created in your system, but when you export or when you release that TR, it will not generate a co-file and data file on your operating system, on your OS level, on the file system. Why? Because you only have one system in the landscape. If you have one system in the landscape, by default SAP will this TMS system TMS configuration will not export the changes to the file system. It will just show you. You can only release it from the system, but it will not physically export the changes on the file system. Why? Because you only have one system in the landscape. That is the reason. If you don't have the second system at the time being, you create it for the temporary period. You create a virtual system. You create a virtual system, and after creating a virtual system, you go and configure the transport route. So until and unless your transport route is configured, your core files and data files will not be exported on the file system. So your transport route should be configured to export them. And to configure a transport route, you will need at least more than one system. You cannot configure a transport route with one system. You need more than one system. So I have added a virtual system for my quality. I have added a virtual system for the production. Now I will go and I will configure the transport route. So here, come back from this screen. Now again, click on the transport route, go on the transport route. So this is your screen for configuring your transport route. So here I can see all the three systems. Okay, here I can see all the three systems, the development, the quality, and the production system. These are the three systems that I will use to configure the transport route. So how I can configure the transport route? You go into the transport routes display. First, you need to change the configuration. See, right now the configuration is not into change mode. It is into, if you see over here, it is not into change mode. So you click over here and you make the changes. Now, for example, if you click on configuration, see most of these things, standard configuration, you can see these are disabled because this screen is right now it's not into configure change mode. So first thing, you need to change it to change mode. I click on it and now it gets changed to change mode. Now if you click on the configuration and come into standard configuration, now you can see these options are enabled. Now the configuration is into change mode. So first thing that you need to do is you need to change into change mode. Second, you have to run configuration as your standard configuration. We will do a standard configuration. Click over here and do a standard configuration. Now you have an option for a single system. You have an option for a development and production system. You have an option for a 3-system landscape. So since I have created my virtual system for quality and production, I will select the three systems in group. Okay, now it is asking me what are the 3 systems. So what is the development system? You can click over here. You can select from three options. So this is my development system, S4D. I'm selecting S4D. For the quality system, what is my quality system? This is my quality system. And for the production system, which is my production system. Okay. Now when you click over here, now it has configured the transport route for you. This is the transport route that it has configured. Okay, this is the transport route that is configured. So your first system, that is your source system or originating system, is your development system. From the development system to your next system, the quality system, you have 2 layers. The 2 layers through which your objects move from development to quality. The first layer, transport layer, is for your Z objects. The first layer is for your, this is the layer, the name of this layer is SAP. This is for your standard SAP object. The standard SAP objects move from this layer, from your development system to your quality system, and your Z configuration. These changes move from this from the second layer, that is called the Z S4D layer. So the Z programs and reports, Z objects, they move from this layer, the second layer, into your quality system. And your quality system is your consolidation system. And from the quality system, there is only one delivery route to your final system, that is your production system. Okay, so this is, we have done configuration, and we can now save it. So before coming out of this screen, you have to save this configuration. I'm saving this configuration. It is saving a single system configuration. I will save it as a 3 systems configuration. Instead of single configuration, I will try making it as a 3 systems configuration. Now, do you want to distribute and activate the configuration across all systems? So yes. So you can see now my configuration is active. So once my configuration becomes active, now I can actively go and make any changes in the system and transport them to the next system. Yes, is it clear till now?
Can you please repeat about that transport layer thing?
Okay, the transport layer here, it is normally from your development system, up till your quality system, next system, from the development to the next system, you have 2 transport layers. Your first layer is this. If you double click on it, okay, let it open. Okay. Okay, no, this is not the screen overview. No, this is not opening up. See, normally what happens, your source system is the system from where all your developments will be originating, or they will be releasing from your source system. Now you have 2 types of development. You have development for your SAP standard objects. Okay, that is your SAP standard programs, SAP standard reports and tables and different objects, packages. Those are the SAP standard. Second is your SAP customize, your sorry, say Z customization. The customization which is out of your which is out of the SAP standards, out of SAP standard. So that is called as your Z customization. So normally what happens when you configure a transport route, okay, so your objects, it will not travel from your source system to your target system using the same one layer. It will be transported through 2 different layers. Your standard objects will move from your development system to quality through this transport layer, SAP transport layer, and your customizing Z objects. The Z objects will be transported to the second layer, which is a Z S4D. Okay, just for your
Yes, but what's the significance? Like we can transport through single layer, like we transport from quality to
no,
production.
actually it is not like that. Let me see if I can make any changes. Okay, I'm deleting all the configuration that
Actually, yeah, I have always seen like it's like that only. We have 2 layers, like one Z layer and one SAP standard, but I don't understand the significance. That's my
okay, so
problem.
now I have deleted the connection. Now what you can do, you can create a connection from year to year. So for example, you are creating a transport route. I am creating a transport route from my development system to my quality system. See, now it is asking me what transport layer it is asking me, whether it's a consolidation route or delivery route. Delivery route will be from my quality system to the production. Okay,
Right.
so which I'm not. So it is asking for the transport layer. What transport layer you want to select for this? So here you have already have a 2 options over here. One is for a transport layer for your Z objects, and the other is a transport layer for your standard objects.
Mhm.
So this is the only thing. So everything is there in the system. Okay, you just have to select what transport. The first, for example, I will selecting the transport SAP for consolidation route. See, everything is sorry, 1 minute. So if you see over here, every other configuration is already freeze. The only configuration you can do is here, you have to select your transport route, which is already created in the system. You don't have to create any transport route also. So you just have to create a transport route SAP, click on OK. So it will create that transport route over here. Again, you have to select from your development to quality. This time, instead of the transport standard, I will be using the Z transport route. So this is your configuration. You have to select 2 transport route for your development into your
Yeah,
quality.
Musavar, I have one doubt.
Yes.
So, for example, I have configured a landscape in a way like we have quality system S4Q. Okay, so I have one more system, quality system S5Q. Okay,
You have
so
another
what? Yeah, another
yes.
quality system.
Okay.
Another quality system S5Q, for example. Okay, so I just want to make Z transport layer to S4Q and the general transport layer to S5Q. Is that possible?
No, but how will you do that? Can you tell me how can you move your standard configuration into one quality system and Z configuration into another quality system? See,
No,
practically is it? Yes.
No, I'm just asking. So,
see, let me. I'll show you as per your query. You can have multiple. See, this is your common over here in a 3 system landscape. Users using standard configuration. So you have your standard transport layer. This is your normal development system. Here you have a consolidation route. So these 2 transport layer comes under consolidation route. On your target system, on the production system, you have the delivery route.
Okay.
Okay, that is the standard configuration. You can have multiple configuration like this also. More complex SAP system landscape. Okay, this is your quality system. So this is your development system S4D. Okay, then in the next system, you have your quality system that is S4Q.
Okay, so,
okay, so now what happens? Your transports from your development system is moving to your quality system.
Okay.
Okay, from your quality system, whatever changes you are doing, see, you have 3 delivery routes. You have 3 delivery routes, one to your training system, one to your external system, and one to your production system.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 3 trainings. So whatever, see, normally whatever changes you do in the development system, when you release that change, it will come into your quality system.
Okay.
When you import that changes into your quality system, it will be visible into 3 systems in your next system: training system, S4E system, and S4P system. So with this 3 delivery route, so when you import the changes in the quality, it will be visible into the import list of these 3 systems.
Okay. So in words, I mean, the thing is that, so whenever we have a system setup, either it is a 3 system landscape or more than 3 system landscape, so the next development to quality, so the transport layer should always consist of Z and standard layer. It is normal, it is standard. Okay, okay. Now I understand that. So I have one more question. So like from development S4D to we have TRN training system. We have bypass to TR. So ZTRN. So what is that actually?
Again, the same, I think you see over here, you have 2 transport layer. One is for standard objects, other is for Z objects. Okay, so here from your development system, if you don't want to, if you have some for example, you are doing some customizing for your training system also.
Okay.
So now, for example, you have the same example that you asked for. You have a 2 quality system. Okay, and your 2 quality system both have different setup, both have different requirements.
Okay.
Now, for example, you have let me show in this example, you have a training system also over here. Now for this training system, you want to create some program. Okay, for example, for the convenience or for the convenience of the users, for the users who are getting the training. So you might be creating some programs for the convenience of the users, only for training
Okay.
purpose, only for training purpose. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So this customization,
Okay, Mustafa. Now I got it.
you don't want to bring that customization into a quality system. That is only the specific customization for your training system. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
A very simple thing is that, for example, you create a program in your training system for the users to track their daily progress. For example, you create a program called as Z Training. You create a T code Z Training, which has a program. When you run the program, they will have a checklist. Okay, so they can there they can track their changes. For example, today they ran 10 T codes, so they will get a track record of this 10 T codes into their Z Training program. Got it? Whatever they are doing, and they will update it into the Z Training program. Okay, for today I practice 5 T codes. Okay, I have this doubt and this, and if they want to put any track any log of that into it. So this program, Z Training program, is only specific to your training system. They don't want you don't want this program to come into the quality system. You got it?
Yes, Mustafa, I got it.
So
The
when you
reason
make
why
the
I asked,
changes in the development, you can put for the you can make a Z route directly to your training system. So that changes which are only specific to your training system, you can make a TR and you can directly import those system into your training system.
okay, okay. So the reason why I asked you this, so
Mhm.
recently we have came across a situation like there was a consolidation project,
Mhm.
a consolidation project. So they are just changing the transport route. But
Mhm.
by that time, I was unable to get that grasp it completely. But after
Okay.
this showing this picture and your
Mm.
explanation, I got it now.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. Okay, so this is over here. You can. Okay, so everybody clear with this standard configuration? Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not saving it. Last time I saved it, then I deleted it, and so I'm not saving it. When it asks, do you want to save changes? No. So again, if I go into my transfer route, so this was the changes which I made at the first time. This is my standard configuration. This is my source system source system S4D. This is my quality system S4Q, and this is my production system S4B. And this is the standard configuration that I've selected. Now whatever changes I make, it will go into the quality system. When I import into the quality system, it will go into the production system. There's also an option of approval. Okay, there's an option, I cannot show it practically for you, but there's an option of approval. When you double click on this quality system, you can also, if you see over here, configuration status, standard transport layer, import targets. I think first I need to change this configuration into change mode. Once I make it into change mode, and when I double click on your quality system, see here, you can see over here. Configuration status, import targets, standard transport layer. I think not here. I think we need to double click on the production system. Delivery after confirmation. See, if you see over here, when I double click on the quality system, this part is disabled. No, it is enabled. Delivery after confirmation. You click over here, you can click on the procedure. Here you have a workflow. Like for example, if I enable this to be approved by system administration, only when the system administration approve this TR, then only it can be moved to the production system. If you want to add multiple approval levels, I can select, for example, the department approval also. I can select for the request owner also. Okay, or whether I can unselect select whatever is required. If I make it and save it over here, so now when the approval, when the changes goes into the quality, when you import the changes in the quality, even after importing, it will not be visible in the import queue of the production. It will not be visible. Okay, so how will it be visible? When these layers, when these approvals are processed, what you have set in the system, if these approval layers are processed, then only that request will be visible in the production system for importing. Am I clear on that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, I think This is a transport directory. We'll see it practically. Now, what is the content of a transport directory? What is the transport directory? In a Unix system, it is under USR SAP trans. This is your transport directory. USR SAP trans. All these files have a common transport directory. Okay, there you have this. Or what is the content of a trans directory? You have this kind of folders inside, directories inside the transport directory. Bin, buffer, data, co-files. If you check into the system, so this is my application server. If you go in my application server, if I go into this location cd/usr SAP trans, this is my transport directory. If I see it, there are different directories into it. You can compare these directories from this chart. Bin directory, this is bin, which contains your binaries. Then buffer, this contains your buffer files. Then the co-files, this contains your co-files, this contains your data file, this contains your configuration etc. This contains the logs, SAP name, storage, TMP. These are the different directories which is there in your transport directory. Transport domain and transport group. Okay, we'll take up this topics later because it will be too confusing if I take it now. This is the queue approval procedure which I just told you. So when you release the TR from development system, the co-files and data files are created in the transport directory, and when you're doing the quality system, you can import. It is the files are read from the transport directory and their changes are imported in the quality system. But again, you cannot even after importing into the quality system, you cannot import into the production because of the approval process. This is approval process. Only after the approval, only after the user approves, this user, what he does, the user approves, okay, this TR is for, okay, I am confirming or approving this TR, then only it will, you can import that TR into your production system. Do you got it?
This part is not clear for me. Can you explain again?
Yes. Okay. So now what happens, Guy, when you create a change in your development system, you make some changes in your development system. Okay. Can you get this?
Yes.
I think, Guy, can you just hold your question for some time? Let me take the practical first. When you see the practical,
Okay.
then afterwards, if it's still not clear to you, you can just remind me of your same query again. Okay.
Okay.
So what I was talking, so this is the directory. We are seeing this directory. Our TMS is configured. Our transport route is configured. Okay, we have configured the transport route over here. All this transport TMS configuration is done now. Now, what are we going to do now? Let us take some example. Let me take another example of how you make a change into your system. So let this, if you see the time zone, this point number 8, if you see the point number 8, what is you are doing over here? You are changing the time zone of your client. You are changing the time zone of your client. When you change the time zone of your client, it creates a TR. Okay, that change you can move from your development system into your quality system. So let us take this example. What happens over here? Now my TMS is configured. Now inside your, let me have a look at this directories that we had. These are the directories inside my trans file, and these are the two directories. The co-files directory contains your co-file. The data file directory will contain your data file. Now if I see the content of the co-file, it is empty. If I see the content of the data file, it is empty. Okay, so now I again come back to my SAP GUI screen. I run this T code. I come back to my main screen. I run this T code STZAC. Okay, STZAC. C is for change. If you don't want to change anything, you can run STZAD. STZAD, it will only show you read only. It will only show you the read only screen. In this screen, you cannot make any changes unless you click on this change icon. Okay, if you directly want to go, if you click on the change icon, now you can non-modifiable now. Okay, still I think it is not clear. It is not allowing you to make the changes. Let me run the STZAC. When you run the STZAC T code, see client 000 has status not modifiable. Okay. Okay, this is the reason you cannot make the changes one entry chooses, because it has the changes not modifiable. Okay, no problem. Let me I don't want to complicate it right now. Okay, so Guy, we will not be taking that topic now. Maybe after some time, maybe after the client topic, the client creation over here. When we do this topic, then I will be taking that topic. So after that, you remind me whether your query is solved or not. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, and I think Ram, for your query about the content of the co-file and data file. You there, Ram? Yeah, Ram, you there?
Yes, Mr. Yes, Mr. I am there. I am
Okay,
there. I am there.
you
It's
asked the
raining
query
here. I'm
about the
sorry.
content of your co-file and the data file.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So normally, see, let me give you a brief about it. The co-file, the co-file, the co in the co-file actually is the short for control. So co-file means is the file which contains the control file. It is called as a control file. Control file means this file contains the information about the TR. Okay, something you can tell this is about the metadata. The metadata about the TR. Or like what is the TR, what is the TR number, all the settings, configuration related to the TR. The data file contains the actual changes which is being imported into the next system. Is it clear to you? Ram, is it clear to you?
Yes, Mustafa. Sorry for my late reply.
Yes, so this is you ask what is the control file and differentiate between a control and data file. So control files contain the information about the TR, and the data file actually contains the data, the what changes are made in the system in the data file. And you also asked about whether can we see that content of the file. Okay, you asked this question. So you
Yes.
can see the content of the co file. With the cat command, you can see the content of the co file. For the data file, you cannot see the content of the data file because that is actually a binary file. So you cannot see the content of the data file. When we will take the topic, when we'll be creating TRs in the system, and I will show you how the files are coming in the transport directory. That time I will show you the content of those files. Okay, just remind me at that time.
Okay. Okay, Mustafa. Just one query. So if
Yes,
any
yes.
of the data file or co-file for a particular TR, any of them, either it is a
Yes.
co-file, either it's a data file, either
Okay.
any one of them got deleted by accidentally for any reason.
Yes.
So we cannot do anything with the TR, right?
See, now what happens, the TR. Now what is a TR? Transport request. Whatever changes you made in the system, that change is copied into that co-file and data file, and it is released, it is exported onto the file system. Okay.
Okay.
We get it. But once any of this file, either co-file or data file or both of them, if they get deleted, then you have no option to again create it again. Do you get it?
Okay.
So
Now I understand the logic.
what
Now
will
I
you
got
do
it.
in
Yeah.
that scenario? Now there is a workaround for that. If in case if that co-file is is deleted from the file system, what you can do is that you can create a transport of copies. It's a special kind of TR. In the transport of copies, you can create a transport of copies. In that transport of copies, you can actually add other TRs into that TOC, transport of copies, and then you can release it. So again, when you release that TOC, whatever changes were there in that transport TR, it will again create a co-file and data file on the file system.
Okay.
Okay, so then you can by this method you can after any delete of the co-file and data file, you can create a TOC and release it from the source system, and you can move it to your next quality and production system. The changes.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you.
So now we have done the transport management system TMS. We have configured the TMS. Now let us move next to your profile parameters. Okay. So is everybody okay with it? I think it will take another 30 minutes, half an hour. If everybody okay with it, then we can continue with this topic. I don't want to overload you. Yes, everybody comfortable with this?
I have no issues.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so nobody has any objections, so we will continue with the topic of profile parameters. Okay, now what are profiles? Now first thing is that you have profiles, and inside the profiles you have parameters which are called as profile parameters. Now what are the profile parameters? Normally what happens, you can make any changes for your configuration. So for every configuration you have different parameters. You can configure those changes in your system based on that parameters, and those parameters are saved in a profiles. There are different profiles in the system, and in those different profiles different related parameters are saved. That is why those are called as profile parameters. Profiles and parameters. So now let us take the topic of profiles and parameters. Now what happens, you have two types of profiles in your system. You have two types of profiles. One is your default profile. Okay, the default profile, the name of this profile on your system is default.pfl. This is the name of the profile. If you want to see that profile on the system, okay, you need to go in your cd/usr SAP. Every data, every information about SAP will be stored inside your USR SAP. In USR SAP, go into USR SAP ls. Here you go into your SID directory. This is a directory for your SID, S4D. Inside this you will find a sys directory, cd sys. Inside this you will find the profile, but actually this profile is not a directory, it is a symlink. It is a shortcut. It is pointing toward this location /SAPMNT SID profile. This is the location, actual location for your profile directory. Okay, inside this is a symlink, so you can directly go into this location SAPMNT SID profile. Okay, in this directory you will find all the profiles which are there in your system. So if you see over here, these are the default profiles. So actually these are not all the default profiles. If you see over here, this is your actual default profile, default.pfl, and all these profiles, these are the backups of your profiles. Okay, these are the backups with the version number. So this is, you can say this was the first version, default.1, then the version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5, and version 6. Okay, so now a very quick question should come to your mind is that we have done a default installation. We have just done an installation. Then after a fresh installation, why are there so many changes in the default profile? Because you have never done any changes in the default profile. Because once you make any change, then only it will take a backup of a version backup, and it will proceed. Now if you have not made any changes, then why are all these versions on your system? So normally these versions were taken by your SWPM program, the SWPM, software provisioning manager, during the time of the installation. So at the time of the installation, there are different stages. Okay, the default profiles which come the default, it makes some changes in the default profile. Before making the changes, it takes a backup. Again, it makes the changes. Before making changes, it takes a backup. So normally during the installation, it has taken 6 backups of your default profile and make changes. And this is the final or the current default.pfl. This is your final or current default. You can see the content of this default profile. For example, if I want to see the content of version 1, see, this is the content of version 1. If you want to see the content of the version 2, you can put, and you can see the content of default version 2. Then you can see the content of version 3. Okay, if you compare all this file, you will see what are the changes what were made from one version to other version. Okay, so this was it. So this is your default profile. So first one is your
what is the mostly changes in this previous and current?
See that if you see the content of this profile, default.profile, default.pfl, see, these are the parameters for your system. These are the system parameters, different configuration. For example, a very simple SAP system name. What is the SAP system name? S4D. This is saved in your profile. how will the SAP system come to know what is the name of your system? So it some place it has to save some information. So this is the default profile where it is saving this information. So your system SAP system name is S4D. Global host, your global host is your S4D.
Can you open two files together, the BIMDIF? Using
Okay,
BIMDIF,
so
then
you do two files. Instead of opening two files, what you can do over here? See, this is my current is my default.pfl.
Yeah.
And the last backup was my 6.1.
Yeah,
If you
correct.
want to confirm it LL, you can see that the default.pfl, it was for 5th of June. On 5th of June, this was for the timing 10:12.
After 3 minutes.
Okay, the previous one was for 10:09, then 10:08. So these are the two. This is my current file profile, and this was the last version. So what you can do a diff command. You can run a
Yeah,
diff command, and you
BIMDIF.
can run from your, this is your previous and this is your current. You can run a diff command on both these files. So you can see the difference over here. Just ignore this one. Just ignore this one. This is a comment. So you can see here. Okay, if you see rdisk buffer mode send off, then rdisk auto adapt time 0, rdisk BTC time 0. These were the three parameters which was there in my previous profile 6 version, but which is not there in the current version. In the current version, this is the parameter fn underscore audit. This parameter was not there in my previous profile.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so there are different kind of parameters based on your changes. So when you do the tuning of your application server, when you configure some changes, you do some settings, you actually change all these parameters. You change all the parameters and then you tune the system, you configure some settings and do like this. So the first changes that you have is your default profile by the name of default.pfl, and the second you have is your instance profiles. In your instance profiles, again you have the profile based on your different instances. Okay, so for example, if you have how many instances I have in my system? Yes, how many instances I have in my system? Yes, everyone. Anybody active?
Hello.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, two
Just a
instances.
second. Yes, only one application server, primary application
Two
server.
instance, ASCS instance, that's the central instance,
Okay.
and your primary application server instance. So right now in my system, there are two instances. See, one is your ASCS instance. Okay, so for example, this is for your ASCS instance, and this one will be for your primary application server, which is denoted by the letter D, capital D, which means dialog instance. So if you see in your system, if you see over here, apart from this default profiles, you will see two more profiles over here. In this is the profile for my ASCS instance. This profile is for the ASCS instance, and this profile is for my primary application server instance. Pass instance. If in the future, if you add another application server, additional application server, you will have another profile by the name of D02. Okay. Actually not D02, this is the instance number. If you choose to have the same instance number for your additional application server also, the profile name till here it will be same, but the host name will differ. Okay, so is this part clear? You have two types of profile, default and instance profiles. Instance profiles are specific to the instances. Default profiles are, you can say, like about the instances. If you make any changes in the default profile, it will be effective for all the instances. But if you make any change in the instance profile, it will be only specific to that instance only. Okay.
Okay, Musabar. So I have one question.
Yes.
So for example, if we are adding one more application server, additional application server,
yes.
So there will be one more profile, but
Yes.
default profile will be only one.
Yes, default profile will be only one. Only the
Okay.
number of application servers you keep on adding, the number of instance profile will keep on increasing. The default profile will be one only.
Okay.
Okay, so now what you can do is here, how to check your parameters. If you want to check your parameters, you can run RZ11. So in your system, if you run RZ11, so here I am running RZ11. From this T code, you can check for all the parameters which are there in your system. You click over here, you click on this, see it will show you all the parameters which are there in the system. So how many parameters are there? If you see the status line, how many parameters are there? Yes. See, this is the status line. If you see,
1582.
1582 parameters are there in the system. Okay, you can, if you can select the parameters which you want from this from this list, you can select these are the different parameters. See, ABAP data aging, ABAP DIN, and there are many parameters over here. You can select this parameter, it will be showed over here. Then you can click the display, and it will show you the information about that specific parameter. Okay, the name of that parameter, what is the type of that parameter, what is the description, and what is the component. Here you will find the kernel default. This is the default value. This is the formula. This is the formula. Based on this formula, it will calculate the default value of this parameter. Then you have this other default profile. For the default profile, this is the value. For the instance profile, this, for the current profile, these are the value. So from here you can check for all the profile parameters in your system. Okay, this is one method of checking all the profile parameters. Other method is that you can directly go and you can run a program. You can run a report. You can run a report from SA38. You can go into SA38/n SA38. From SA38 you can run this report RSPF-PAR. You run this report and execute it. When you execute this report, here also just click on execute. You will see all the parameters and their values which are there in the system currently. Can you see over here? So this is the report that you run to check all the parameters. So the first column contains all the parameters which are there in the system. Second, what are the user defined values? What is the system default value? What is the system default value? Undistributed format. These are the formulas. This is the formula, you can say, or this is the variable, formula or variable, whatever you say. So this is unsubstituted form and this is a substituted form. You have other columns also for all this comment and all this. So this is the two method by which you can check all the profile parameters of your system. One is your RZ11. For if you want to check only one or two parameters, you can go into RZ11. If you want to check multiple or all the parameters, you can run this report RSPF-PAR. Is that clear? Okay, so now this is assigning the profile parameter. So now you'll ask, like, if I want to assign a parameter to any profile, where should I assign it? Should I assign it into the default profile? Should I assign it into the instance profile? Where should I So if you see this diagram over here, this is the sequence, the sequence at which different levels in the system at which the the profiles are read, or the profiles are read during our. So if you see, this is the base, this is when you run your SAP start command. So when you run the SAP start command, all the SAP kernels and environment variables are loaded into the system. After this, it reads the default profile. So whatever parameters are there in the default profile, it will be read into the second sequence. In the last, it will read your instance profile. Okay, so for example, if you have added one parameter into two profiles, you have also added the same parameter in a default profile. If you also added the same parameter in your instance profile, both with a different value, then which value will be effective into the system? The value which is read in the last. So the one which is there in your instance profile, the value which is there in your instance profile will become effective, because after loading the default profile, it will load the instance profile. So what your values from your default profile will be overwritten by the values from your instance profile. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, so this is how you can view your profile parameters, RZ11, RSPF par. You can run a profile and you can check for this is a profile parameter, rdiff/wp underscore no dialog. You can run the RZ11 and you can directly check this code from here. /n RZ11. Run RZ11, you can rdiff /wp underscore no means number of dialog work process. This is the parameter which means work process number dialog work process display. So you can see the value over here. So right now you can see the kernel default is 2. Okay, the default profile is 2 only, but instance profile contains 10 dialog work process. Now if you check in the system, if you run this if I create another new GUI window, here I'm running SM50. If you run SM50, so you can see these are the dialog work process. This is the dialog work process, and this all are your dialog work process. Okay, so you can see there are 10 dialog work process in the system. So where is it values coming from? It is where the value is coming from your instance profile, because by default the default profile only will only create 2 dialog work process, but your instance profile has 10 number of dialog work process. If you want to confirm that, you can check. Okay, so let me go into over here. Here this is RZ11. If you want, you can go into, but again that is different. Okay, so just for information, this 10 value is been it is loaded from your instance profile. Okay, let me show you from the OS level. If you go on the OS level, if you check for this cat S4D, this is your primary application server instance. If you see the profile, see here you can see all these profile parameters. So this is work process. This is for your dispatcher. Work process number for dialog work process, it is 10. Work process number for background it is 6. If you confirm, if you cross check in your system, your dialog work process will be 6. See, this is the dialog work process. Sorry, background 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is your background work process. These are 6 in the number. So it is being loaded from your this value from your this profile, the instance profile. So here it is coming from here, BTC. Update work process only 1, update to work process only, spool work process only 1. Is that clear with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, now coming to the next point here over here. Now next is your checking of your profiles. So what is the checking of your profiles? Now how do you check your profiles? You go into RZ10, go in the T code RZ10. Now if in this time, if I click on this profile, if I click on F4 or not F4, if I click over here in this one, see what it says over here, it will not load. If I click on F4, there is no profile in the system. Can you see? I'm clicking on this icon. I'm clicking on it. It is not opening any profile. It's not giving me any option to select any profile. But if you see on the OS, if you see on the file system, you can see all the profiles over here. I can see the profiles on the file system. These are the 3 profiles on the file system. It should show over here in this screen. Why is it not showing it? Any idea with anyone? Yes, who's this?
Hello. Savinay here.
Yes, Aminai.
Can you just repeat once your question?
The question is that, see, from the file system, if I go on the file system on my application server, I can see all the profiles.
Correct.
This is my default profile. This is my central
Instance
server
profile.
profile. This is my this is instance profile. But when I come into my RZ10 T code, when I click on this icon, when I click on it, I cannot see any of my profile right now. Can you see? It is not opening any option to select the profile, default or the instance profile. Why? Because yes.
We need to import it from OS level. It's at OS level, not at S.
That is the concept. Okay, so normally what happens, I understand this important concept. the profiles you have, you know, when normally when the profiles right now after the installation, the profiles are created on the OS level. Okay, that is on your file system level. SWM created the profiles on the file system level. But when you make any changes into the profile, it will not make the changes on the file system. It will first make the changes on the database level. How, what is the database? It means that after the installation, first you have to import that profile from your file system into your table, into your database. So you will have two copies. You will have two copies of the profile, one on the file system, one on the database. Your SAP application server will always refer to your to the version on your database. And from RZ10, it will only check all the profile which is there in your database. So that is the reason when I'm clicking on it right now, it is not opening any profile, because it is checking in the database, and the database there are no profiles available. So the first thing after a fresh installation, what you have to do is that you have to import that profile from the file system into your database. So how you can do that? You have to first check all the profiles. So go in the utilities. I go into the utilities, check profiles of active server. So what it will do, it will check the profiles on the file system. So when I'm running it, see, it is checking all the profiles. And if you see on the last, it says no errors found. In the last, it is saying no errors found. It means the check was successful. So after checking the profile, your next step will be to import the profiles. Import the profiles of active servers. When you import the profiles of the active servers, what it will do, it will import the profiles from your file system into your database. So that is why this is the screen. Okay, so now what happens, these are two layers over, these are the two layers over here. The first layer, this is the layer which is there on your operating system layer. Okay, these are the different profiles: instance profile, start profile, default profile, and all this. Okay, and these are the actual profiles over here. And on your upper layer, you can see this is the profile which is available for in the SAP system from the RZ10. So the where does it store this information of this profile? It stores inside your database. It is not mentioned in the screen, but it stores inside your database. So when you import, so first step, when you import the profile, what it does, it imports all these profiles from your file system inside your database, and only after adding into your database, it will allow you to edit that profile from your RZ10 program. If it is not imported into your database, it will not allow you, it will not open the profile. Only if you not open the profile, you cannot edit it. So first thing is that you need to import it. So now I have imported the profile in my database. So if you see over here, it is imported. So you can see import the start. Okay, so here if you see here, it has started the import the start and instance profile of all active servers, and if you see the output, no errors detected. So the import was successful. Now after this, if I go back on the same RZ10 screen, and if I again run on profiles, I click on it, now I can see all the profiles. Now I can select any profile, and now I can go into extended. I can change the profile from here. So is this a concept clear to you? After a fresh installation, the profiles are only on the OS level. You have to import the profiles into your database layer. Okay, and you can only make changes into your database layer. After you make the changes on the database layer and you save the profile on the database layer, then only it will go and write the changes on the operating system layer. Your RZ10 program will save it in your database, and afterward it will go on your file system and update the changes. Okay, so this is the SAP recommended best practice, or the standard SAP recommended best practice. Whatever changes, whatever profile, whatever changes in the parameters you want to make, you have to do it on your RZ10 program. Do it through the RZ10 program. Don't directly go into your profile parameters on the operating system file system layer and make the changes directly to the file using the file editor. Don't directly go and modify the files on the file system. this is not an SAP recommended method, because if you make any changes on the file system level, it will not be recognized by the RZ10 program. Again, when you open the RZ program, it will give you an error message saying that the versions mismatch. The version on your database and the version on your parameter is not matching. Okay, so is it clear till now?
Yeah, like I have a question. Like in
Uh-huh.
like previous organization, we will change the profiles like any like these things, no, like parameters from the OS level only,
But
not from
that is not a
RZ10.
good practice. That is not a that is not a good practice.
Okay, as
Okay.
per your says, like we need to change it in RZ10 and as well as in OS level, correct? Or like only in RZ10?
No. See, 1 minute. Okay. Now what happened the first time? See, the first step what you're doing is that you are importing. You are importing the profile. The first step you are importing. When you import the profile, all the information from your parameter, all the profile, it is imported into your database on your
Correct.
RZ10 program. Now, when you save that changes, when you save the changes, what it does is that when you save the changes, the RZ program, when you save the changes, the RZ program, it saves the information on the database. Also, it saves the information on your operating system level.
Correct.
You don't have to do it changes on both the level. You only have to do the changes on your RZ10. It will automatically save it in your database and also on your file system level.
Yeah, that one I know, but sometimes no, like while we have like faced once or twice, okay, like these problems when we change the in RZ10, no, it is not reflecting in OS level.
Then there might be some issue because you already have made some because of the version mismatch or something like that. It is not because the reason is that if you don't follow standard, if you don't follow best practice, at some time it will start, the system will start going on a different direction. And believe me, if the system you goes in a different direction, then it will be very, very difficult to manage or control those kind of systems in the future.
Okay.
So only in rare cases, only in rare cases. Rare cases means, for example, if you make any changes in your RZ10, okay, after making the changes, you have to restart the application server for the changes to take effect.
Correct.
So after RZ10, if you restart your application server and the application server is not starting up, then only in that emergency case you can go back into your application server. You can go back into the on the OS level and you can revert the changes what you have done earlier.
Okay,
you can revert the changes, come back, you can start your application server and then you can continue.
Okay.
So now so this is how your profile parameters, or this is how it works. Okay, now just for the last point over here, we'll cover it. What are the types of parameters? See, there are two types of parameters. One is your static parameter and the dynamic parameter. What is the difference between those two parameters? Static parameter means you cannot you make the changes in RZ10, but those are not reflected immediately in the system. Okay, those are static parameters. Static means you making the changes to make the changes reflected in the system, you have to restart your application server, so that when you restart the application server, the profiles are again reread and the new changes or the new parameters are loaded into the system. That is your static parameter. That is the changes is not immediately visible in the system. Dynamic parameters means whatever changes you make in the if you change the system dynamic parameter, the changes will be immediately reflected in your system. Is it clear between your static and dynamic?
Yes.
Okay, what is static, what is dynamic? Dynamic parameters, the changes are reflected immediately in the system, but again the changes are reflected immediately, but when you restart the application server, it will again read the value from your profile, and if you have not updated your profile, again it will load your previous value. It will again load the previous value from your profile. So the changes, the dynamic changes that you made in your system, after restart, it will be lost. whatever dynamic changes you made in the system after restart of the application server, it will get lost. So if you want to make it permanent, you can change the dynamic parameter as well as you need to make the changes in the profile parameter. You make the changes in the profile so that even after restarting the application server, the new values will be loaded in after restart. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so now these are the parameters that we need to make into our system. I think it's quite already late. I think I don't think if I push it you more, it might go like above your head. So what do you suggest? Can we stop till now and we'll start from this part from your next session?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well,
Yes,
I feel
everyone.
so.
Yeah, no issues with me.
Okay, so yes, I'll mark it till here. We have done the check profiles. We have done the check and we have imported the profile in the system. So now next time we will start with making, we will start with configuring the profile parameters in your different profiles.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So anybody having any queries before we can depart?
No with me.
Okay.
Because
Anybody
already
else?
like these things, like some topics I want to know, but all is clear right now.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like these things I done.
Mm-hmm.
So like now it is like, okay, anyhow we some things we better than nothing.
Okay, no problem. So if you have any queries, you can put in the group or you can ask in the next session also. No issue. for that.
Okay, no issues.
Okay. So, okay, everyone, no questions. Can we disconnect now?
No question from my end, Mutuwar. Thank you so
Okay,
much for
thank
Yeah.
you.
answering.
Thank
sir.
you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night.
Yeah,
Good
see
night.
you tomorrow. So we'll
Yeah.
continue this topic tomorrow. Goodbye.
Okay.
See you.
Okay, thank you.